Broadway's gonna have a brand new show tonight, with glitz and glam on the marquee. Perhaps a Tony nominee. Stars beam brightly, see them glow. Sell out nightly, SRO. It's time to applaud the Broadway Beat. Stars beam brightly, see them glow. It looks good lights on a show. Life is sweet on the world's most famous street.
Tickets, please.
Take a seat.
Cue the band.
And have your feet to the rhythm of the Broadway Beat. The Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to Broadway Beat, our weekly half-hour behind-the-scenes look at the very best of the New York theater on Broadway and beyond. This week we have a look at two of the last shows to open during the 2006-2007 theater season. They are the Roundabout Theater Company's new production of the 1963 Tom Jones, Harvey Schmidt, and N. Richard Nash musical 110 in the Shade, which stars Tony Award winners Audra McDonald and John Collum. And we start things off with the other, which is the new Terrence McNally play entitled Deuce, which welcomes back to Broadway after almost 25 years four-time Tony Award-winning legend Angela Lansbury. She co-stars opposite one of the other great ladies of the American theater, Marian Seldes. Deuce is directed by the esteemed Michael Blakemore and is playing at the Music Box Theater. We caught up with all of them at their recent opening night celebration at Sardi's. Deuce is the story of two celebrated tennis doubles partners who reunite after many years to receive a tribute at a championship tennis tournament. They remember their own past triumphs and defeats and realize that their own personal match has yet to be played until now.
I just turned 72.
Well, good for you. I just turned 35. A very mature 35, I told a journalist who felt the need to ask.
I embrace my age. I love it. I love it. I love it.
That is a goddamn lie.
Well, of course it is. I don't appreciate the profanity, Lee.
No, you never did.
I've never understood people who have difficulty in admitting their age.
I admit it every morning when I drag myself out of bed and look in the bathroom mirror. I mean, it's reason enough to stop brushing your teeth. I stopped flossing years ago. I don't have to admit my age to anyone else.
I know how old you are, Lee.
Well, then why did you ask? I mean, either one of us embraces her age anymore, and she'll be dead.
Well, it's been thrilling from day one of rehearsal to have these two great actresses and Michael Blakemore. It's playwright's heaven, like playing in confetti and gold at the same time. Just wonderful.
What's the rehearsal process like, being there with Michael?
Well, intense because, it's the two women nonstop for, 100 minutes. So it was a lot of hard work. They both actresses have such incredible work ethic. They just don't rest until they get it to a certain place. And they're very tough critics. And you can't tell them it's a great show if it wasn't a great show. They're very realistic. So it's been a wonderful week, though, leading up to tonight. And you saw a good show Friday night and two good shows yesterday. And thank you for your kind words about the play. I'm very proud of it. And
this play is about so much more than just two ladies reuniting.
Yeah.
When you're asked about what the play is about, what do you say?
I think it's about mortality and friendship, and we all end up alone finally, and maybe our partner is someone to be very grateful for, because they each have their own personal lives and their ups and downs, but finally they're there for one another as a team. And so I think the play's about friendship too, and because finally family is not everything, and I'm very interested in writing about strong women, and I think the women's movement viewed through the eyes of professional women athletes was a very interesting take on it, and just glad I got the idea for this play, and even gladder I got this cast for it. So.
Well, I read it and I thought it was a very charming play, and indeed more substantial than possibly you would gather on the first reading, because it's based on a very, very clever theatrical idea. It's about two great performers who are tennis stars, played by two great performers who are theatre stars. So the things they say about experience and friendship and life, and at the end of their careers, constantly has a double resonance. And when at the very end the tennis stars are honoured, and they happen to be Angela Lansbury and Marian Seldes, you are also honouring the theatre as well as tennis. And this is a very clever idea, I think.
What it's been like working with these two wonderful women?
Wonderful. They're both great, very, very different. Their techniques are different, their personalities are different. Maybe because they're so different, they became fast friends, and they worked very cooperatively with each other, and it was a genuine pleasure. It was not easy because the parts are enormous, and they wanted to be as, really not to let the side down in terms of lines. And it's very hard to memorize that number of lines as you get on. But they licked that, I think, and did really have now triumphed.
And talk about the audience's reaction to the show. I was there Friday night, and there was a 5-minute standing ovation at the end of the show, and you couldn't hear a pin drop at the end.
Right. Well, that's true. That has been the response. I mean, it's extraordinary that this is what the theatre does. I mean, two great performers up there. I mean, they're well supported by our three very good supporting actors, but the play is mainly about them, and for the most part they are on their own, and that they can involve you in this and take you on this journey, this emotional journey, is what the theatre is really about, and move you.
Yeah, Michael Blakemore directed me in Kiss Me Kate 8 years ago, and that to me was a big step in my career as far as just opening doors and stuff, because that production was just exquisite, and he's the finest director I've ever worked with. I have absolutely no problem saying that, and he's unbelievable, and he's up in their neighborhood. They're all working on the same, and I think between he and Angela, they have 4 artificial joints. I don't remember exactly which ones, but there's a lot of surgery been done on those legs.
Just talk about the audience's reaction to the show.
They're funny. There's some off-color language that I sometimes think Terrence wrote it just to hear Angela and Marian say those words. And it's funny because it's almost like, Angela and Marian being naughty. But then the audience seems to kind of get the feeling that they're being naughty for laughing at it. And it's just wonderful. And the great thing is there's tremendous humor, and there's occasionally some anger, and there's a great gamut of emotions. But then just the simple, touching finale to the play that you can, when I come out at the end, it's dead quiet. You can hear a pin drop. And as the lights dim out, it's almost like a pullback in a film. It's just it's something really enjoyable. It's just a quiet, absolute silence, and then the reaction of the audience with their hopefully of approval at the end, and we're getting approval, which is nice. It's just exquisite being on stage with them.
It's so great to have you home, but this must be a dream job, just to go to a theater every night at 8 o'clock.
Oh yeah, go to the theater every night and get that. Sometimes going to the theater at 8 o'clock when you're doing a play that's maybe not quite as good as you would hope to have been, it's kind of torture to get through it, and you owe it to the audience at 8 o'clock. They haven't seen it yet, so you got to put on. I can't remember who it was that said it. I think William Gillette said one of the big things is whether it's the 100th performance or the 1000th performance, it's got to be the premiere for the 1,000 people sitting out there, because they have never seen it.
One of these young women is going to trump the other, and it would be totally unnatural not to care which.
Well, I'm switching my allegiance to the little French girl. I've turned on the check.
Why?
Well, she's all technique, no heart.
That's how they're taught now.
Tennis robots. You can't tell one from the other. I mean, we were distinct. Even when we were a team, we were totally different players.
Well, sure you want the French girl? I'm surprised. You never liked the French.
Well, I still don't. They think they invented tennis.
I believe they did.
Yeah, but that's no excuse.
We can't both be rooting for the same player.
Well, of course we can.
No, that's no fun.
You still make so many rules for yourself.
All right, then I'll change to the little Czech girl from Southern California who endorses things.
Advantage, Montbanquier.
Do you know she's a lesbian?
Which one?
The Czech. Well, either one of them, now that we're at it.
It's impossible to tell anymore.
So many of them are now.
Well, she's an odd bird. She was a great, great tennis player, and then she retired from it, and she seems to me a rather quiet, shy woman. But something about the relationship with her tennis partner has never been resolved, and in the play it's resolved. And I don't think you expect it when you're watching the play, do you? No. And you don't know what it is. And one thing that Michael Blakemore told us both, which I thought was a wonderful thing to say, is when you're really old friends, you can say anything to each other. You can be sharp, you can be tart, you can be sly, you can tease, you can do it because you've been friends for so long. But then you find out in the course of the play that the friendship, that the partnership as tennis players was perfect, and the friendship was something else. And that's why the play is so moving at the end, because did you feel that something was resolved at last? I do too. I feel something that you can breathe again, and you know.
And talk about the audience reaction.
Well, when the curtain goes up and the audience sees Angela Lansbury, it's as if they were all saying the same thing. They were saying, thank you for coming back to the theater. And you can feel it. And it goes on a long time. It's really heartfelt. And nowadays, people also, they not only applaud, they make sounds like, ooh, ah, as if I'm discovering you, I see you, you're here, I'm here too. And we use the audience as one would use the tennis arena, so they're the other half of the play.
Well, it's been just a huge, a very interesting and very long affair to bring it to fruition. It took a tremendous amount of work on everybody's part, and Marian and I really had to put our best foot forward to learn this part, because here we are, two women. We never shut up for an hour and a half, and it's a little different just to sit and face an audience and never stop talking. So that's about it.
It's interesting, you two sit there for 90 minutes. It's just heart to heart, back and forth, like a tennis match. When did the rhythm get together for you? When did you finally say, I have this woman, I have the rhythm?
Well, it really, probably around the fifth week of rehearsal. Fifth week. So, I mean, it was a huge job to bring them about.
Working with Michael Blakemore, what a wonderful director, what that process was like.
He's a man who really knows exactly what he wants. He hears it in his head, and he works, and he's a very hard taskmaster. He doesn't give up until he gets exactly what he wants. And that's wonderful to work with somebody like that, because most directors will give you your head and let you go a little bit, you know. But he didn't. He kept his hands on every bit of it.
And working with Marian Seldes, what that experience has been like?
Well, we work a little. We work differently, I'd say, and so that was an adjustment to get used to her rhythms and for her to get used to mine. I mean, this was something that we found as we went along. We became so fond of each other that it was a joy. The work process was very, very interesting and very fruitful. And finally, we got our act together. It took us a long time, though. You know.
Talk about the audience's reaction to the play. The audience, I mean, you got a 5-minute standing ovation, both of you, Friday night. They're with this play for the second it begins.
Yes, they are. And before it begins, which is very wonderful. You know, the feeling of welcoming that I've received coming back to Broadway after all these years is, tremendous. It's unbelievable. I don't deserve it. But it has made it a lot easier for me. I felt they were ready for me to come back. Everyone thought we were lesbians.
Because we were so good. Mm-hmm. But now, even some of the very poor players are lesbians. It used to be a pledge of excellence.
The men wanted all the women to be lesbians so that they could label women's tennis a freak show. I think they were sort of disappointed when only some of them actually turned out to be. I mean, they couldn't face the fact that women wanted to play as hard and to win as much as they did. No, not so much win, but to care so much about winning.
Yes. Tennis was a genteel pastime for rich white women after they had cooked a meal and put the children to bed. We were pioneers.
Oh, good for us.
How did they get away with it for so long?
We let them.
The Roundabout Theater Company closed out the 2006-2007 theater season with their new production of the 1963 Tom Jones, Harvey Schmidt, and N. Richard Nash musical 110 in the Shade, which is based on Mr. Nash's beloved play The Rainmaker. It stars four-time Tony Award winner Audra McDonald and is directed by Lonnie Price. 110 in the Shade is set in the 1930s in the middle of a Texas heat wave. Lizzie Curry, played by Ms. McDonald, is on the verge of becoming an old maid. Her wit, intelligence, and skills as a homemaker can't make up for the fact that she can't find true love. However, when a charismatic rainmaker named Starbuck enters the town and her family's life, Lizzie's world is turned upside down.
I knew it. My best friend in high school gave me this record a long time ago now, when I was in performing arts high school, and of all the musical records I'd have of shows I'd never seen, this was the one I loved the best and the most, because the score is just so gorgeous, and the story is so rich, and the songs come out of it in such an elegant way, and I was surprised that not many people knew it. So I brought it to Audra, and she didn't know it, and then she said, okay, I'll do a reading for you, and we did a reading 3 years ago for Todd, and after the first act, he turned to me and he said, which theater do you want? So we've been working on it for 3 years, and I'm just delighted.
Talk about putting it in this space. You worked it so beautifully in here. Are there challenges? Yeah.
I wanted this space. Well, the American Airlines is a beautiful theater, but I wanted it to be environmental, almost thrust, because I felt that the closer you were to the family, it's a family drama. It's like a Greek drama, and I wanted us to be particularly close to Audra, but also, I wanted you to feel as though you were pushing your nose to the glass of very private moments that you weren't supposed to be seeing, that it was a very personal journey for this woman, Lizzie, and that we should be observers in it, in a way that maybe we shouldn't see it. It's so personal, and so that's why I wanted this space. I love 54. I think it's the most exciting theater in New York. I love working here.
I haven't done many musicals professionally, and so at first I was really intimidated, and just working with professionals like Audra and John Collum, I really learned how to do it from the best, and I've had great role models.
Talk about the role you play.
I play Jimmy Curry, who's Audra's younger brother. He's the young comic sort of ingenue of the play, and he's the believer. He's the one who believes that change can happen, and it's great to play an optimist like that in a piece like this.
Now you're working with Lonnie Price, again, your director. What's it like working with him and working with Audra McDonald?
I think he's a wonderful director because he's an actor himself, and he knows what it is to be an actor on that stage, and he also respects the people who he's working with. And so he's been just really wonderful at communicating and at making us feel like a real company, and
And working with Audra?
She's just incredible. She's a down-to-earth, wonderful, generous actress and person, and I feel very blessed to know her as a person and to even speak to her once on stage, let alone a whole night.
I knew a lot of the people in the original show. I was up for the Starbuck in the original show. They went for a big TV name, Robert Horton. But I think our show has more fiber. It has a gutsier feeling to it than the original. And the book has been slightly changed and tightened. And I think the book is better than the original play. Because I did a reading for Roundabout of the original play not too long ago, a few years ago, with Jimmy Smits. Remember I played the father in that, but I didn't remember the part as being as good as it is. I love the part now.
Talk about him. Talk about the man that you play.
Well, it's a character that I understand pretty well. I'm from Tennessee, and so it's very similar to some of the parts that I played before. Like he has a lot of the characteristics of Charlie Anderson from Shenandoah. He's a father of a large family, and they're under duress in the Civil War, and then of course the Currys are being killed by the drought, and there's a lot of pressure, and there's daughters and there's sons, and there's a very tough but tender character. So I enjoyed getting back into that kind of character before, as one that I played before, but it's because it's very close to the people that I know and love, my family, my father and my uncles and my great uncles from the South. I draw from all of those people.
Well, come on out and play a little poker, play a little blackjack, spit in the ocean. Come on out and play a little high-low. Why don't you come and have some fun?
Must admit I'm pretty good at poker. Seems I got a poker face. Must admit I'm pretty good at bluffing when I get that extra ace.
Oh, sure, it's nice to play a little poker, take a little chance and shoot the moon.
But once I start, I just can't stop until I'm broken. So I gave up poker long ago.
Well, yeah, he kind of is. He has this great secret, which is always fun for an actor to play. And so he has a nice arc to him, and something that is very heartfelt. He's kind of got this pain from losing his wife, and the payoff is phenomenal because I get to kiss Audra McDonald at the end of the play. No, I mean I get to win the girl, so I go away feeling happy.
Did you know the show at all going into this?
I didn't. I knew the play very well. I didn't know the musical. I'd known Tom and Harvey's work. I played El Gallo in the Fantastics downtown, and so I loved their work, but I didn't really know this musical until Lonnie and Audra brought it to me.
It's gonna rain a month of Sundays. The rain will day, and the rain will day and night. And the rain with all of its might. Gonna rain, gonna rain, gonna rain, rain, rain,
Yeah, well, Bill Starbuck, is obviously, or Bill Smith, is obviously a drifter and a con man, and we sort of came in the first day of rehearsal and said, traditionally this is done in a very big, broad musical theater, like sort of Harold Hill-ish, but we all sort of wanted to be a little more real about it and to think about somebody who was living on their own in the plains during the Dust Bowl, and he's probably not the best clothed guy and the best kempt guy, and there's a sort of realness to him that I think has always been missing, and we tried our best to bring that in, and I hope we achieved that. I feel like we did, and yeah.
My sister died. My skin is alive all over. It started tonight, yet not a sign of rain. I'm all tied up, not closing to be on fire. They tied me up and burning me to the bone. Why won't it rain? Please, let it rain. Oh God, don't let me live and
It's been an incredible experience. It's been a long experience, too. It's been 3 years in the making. The first workshop we did was 3 years ago, and then the second one we did was last year. And, so it kept feeling like it was never going to happen. Once I fell for the piece, at the beginning I wasn't really into it, and then once I did fall for the piece and really study the score and the play, then it just became about win. Oh, sorry, win. I want to do it. And so the journey has been worth it, and Lonnie and I kept saying, should we live that long? May 9th we'll get here, and so we're just, I think, overwhelmed that it's actually here.
What amazed me the most about watching this is you really dissected the book. It seems like during the rehearsal process, you just sort of picked the whole show apart.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. The very first day of rehearsal, we read through The Rainmaker. That's what we did. We read through the play. And that was very important to Lonnie to make sure we understood the source material. And the wonderful thing, too, I mean, it's not that different from, The Rainmaker, because Richard Nash wrote the book to the musical as well, so there's very little that's changed. And there's some things that we liked better in The Rainmaker that we, asked Tom Jones permission, can we take that line? There's a line where she says, I'm the biggest horse in the pasture, if you give me a lump of sugar, I'll whinny. We thought that was actually funnier, things like that we borrowed back from The Rainmaker and put into the show. So Tom was really open with all of that, and I think we all just had the same idea of just trying to make sure that this story is told as beautifully as possible.
Just talk about this wonderful role. What attracted you to Lizzie?
Just her, she goes through every emotion under the sun, literally her big sun, in one day. And she has just, I nicknamed the piece Lizzie's Big Day. She has just the biggest day. And beginning of the show, she's just without hope and so frustrated and frightened that she's never going to find someone, and wondering, is it her? Is there something that's wrong with her? And so then the journey that she has, it's a day that she would have never, predicted, and that's what's so beautiful about it. And then the show's about familial relationships as well, and different types of love and different types of redemption, Even like the older brother Noah has a bit of redemption, and Starbuck, finds that he finds his own self-worth through Lizzie, and File is finally able to come into, his whole self and come back from the dead, as it were, in terms of love. So I just think it's a really beautiful, redemptive piece.
There's not out there to roam. There is a